Last Sunday afternoon, Anisha and I travelled down to Gloucester to see my mum and my sister and brother-in-law. And during the afternoon, for some reason, my sister asked me the question, how many chapters are in the Gospels? That was an interesting question. I don't know why she asked it, but she did. And I gave a quick tot up. Well, I told her how many there were in each book, each of the Gospels, but left her to do the maths. It's 89. Or is it? John's Gospel, in our Bibles, ends at the end of chapter 21. Mike just read the end of chapter 20. And chapter 20 ends Mark's Gospel quite comfortably. Now, Jesus did many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book, but these are written so that you may come to believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, that through believing you may have life in his name. Ends. We need nothing more. Chapter 21 is a bit like an appendix. It's a good read. But John's Gospel can end at the end of chapter 20. And in ending at chapter 20, it in some sense comes full circle back to the beginning of John's Gospel, John chapter 1. The time now is 10:57. If you have a traditional watch, you can watch your hands go round on your watch. And in 12 hours' time, it will be 10:57. The same time. And in 24 hours' time, it will be 10:57. The same time. We've just gone round in a circle. But in those 12 hours or 24 hours, much has changed. Within our lives and within the lives of others and the world in which we live. This morning, something like 57,000 people set off in London to do a marathon. I know a couple of you here would have run a marathon. Hands up if you've done it. 1, 2. Put your hands down. That's with 2. Barry, how old are you now? 90. Bob, how old are you now? Yes.
83 tomorrow.
83 tomorrow. So, some of our senior people in our congregation have had the courage and the bravery to run 26 miles and a bit. 26.2 miles. They will run from where they start to finish up the mile. But actually, they will eventually go back home. They will end up where they started at the end of the day. Since my 60th birthday, in recorded walks, I have walked over 3,000 miles. Anita says, why are you still here then? If I walked in a straight line, I could be in Sacramento at the moment. Why am I still here? Because I go around and finish where I started so often. John's Gospel, in one sense, ends where it began. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word came into the world, who was Jesus. And John, through the Gospel, tries to tell the story of this man's life and his encounter with others. The people will come to believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God. And that's what happened in the life of Thomas. Thomas answered him, "My Lord and my God." In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word came into the world, who was Jesus. And Thomas recognized who Jesus was, my Lord and my God. We've come full circle. But many things happened during that circle. Jesus encountered many different people. Much more could have been written, said John, but these things I write that you might believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that through believing you may have life in his name. That was why John wrote the Gospel, that people might discover the truth of who Jesus is and have life in his name. The reading from Revelation. Grace to you and peace from him who is and who was and is to come, and from Jesus Christ, the faithful witness. He who is, who was, and is to come. I am the Alpha, the Omega, says the Lord, who is and who was and who is to come, the Almighty. I am who I am, declared God to Moses. What is life about? Life is about recognizing the presence of God with us. For the disciples, the early part of their life, they were discovering who Jesus was. And once they discovered that Jesus is my Lord and my God, they went and told others, that they too might believe and in him find life. Do we struggle to share what we have? Do we struggle to go and tell others about our relationship with Jesus? Do we struggle to tell others that we believe that Jesus is the Son of God? For many, the answer to that is yes. But when you first came to faith, were you eager to tell others about Jesus? I remember at the age of 12 getting off of a bus, coach, that had journeyed from the Lake District back to Rochester in Kent. And I jumped off the bus and ran up to my mum and said, "Mum, I'm a Christian." And she said, "Of course you are. You were baptized." And thinking, that's not what I'm about. I knew that Jesus loved me, that Jesus died for me, and that Jesus wanted a relationship with me and for me to have a relationship with him. But over the last years, 50-something years, what's happened? Do I have that same enthusiasm or not? Perhaps I need to go back to where I started. Perhaps each of us need to go back, in some sense, to where we started. To start from that moment where we fell in love with Jesus. Where we have that great enthusiasm of first love that we want to tell everybody about. It probably isn't true for everybody here, but you remember your first boyfriend or your first girlfriend? And how eager were you to tell others about that relationship? You wanted to declare the love that you had. Let others know it. When we first fell in love with Jesus, for many there was that desire to tell others of the love of Jesus. Perhaps we need to follow the clock round and go back to that beginning with encounters with Jesus and life on the way. and get back to where we began. That simple belief in Jesus as the Son of God, the risen Lord, who loves you, who loves me, and tell others about him. Get back to where we began in our journey of faith, with many encounters since. But what helped us grow in our faith? Simple things. Praying, worshipping, sharing in fellowship, reading the Bible. Those things help us get us to where we are today. But perhaps we need to go back to the beginning and start again, falling in love with Jesus, that we might declare to others, I want you to believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, that through believing in him, you might have life in his name. The one who was, who is, and who is to come. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word is Jesus. If you're not in love with Jesus today as you were 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, perhaps think back. Let the clock turn round. Remember that moment of falling in love. And fall in love with Jesus again. That you will want to tell others of the great things that Jesus has done, is doing, and will do.